Hey guys, good afternoon from the VagabondExpedition Jeep Wrangler. Today I've got a set of new fog lights that I've just had delivered. What I've got here still is the original OEM housings. I had the driver's side bulb burn out a little while ago, so I went and replaced them with a couple of LED Cree lens fog lights. And I had those in there, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 months. 4 months probably at the most, more reasonably probably 3 months. And now they are on all the time. I use these as a daytime running light system. But I did have one of these cook itself to death recently. I took a chance and ordered a set of low-cost, what everybody calls the cheap Chinese brand lights off Amazon here. I'll post up a link down below. They look to be reasonably well built. I see a few flaws out of the box, but I'll get to that as we do the install here. So like I said, took a chance on these, so now we're just going to go ahead and do the install here. Before that though, I want to make sure I've got no issues out of the box, so I'm just going to plug these fellows in, make sure everything works before I go and pull the bumper off and get all the way into the install, put it all back together and find something doesn't work. So let me we'll go ahead, plug them in. I've got the bulbs already disconnected out of there, like you saw in my hand. So here's the wiring harnesses that drop down. These particular new bulbs that I've got, they've got their own harness system here, which they also supplied an adapter piece. So it should be just quick plug and play. A few seconds, we'll know if these bulbs work or not. Alright, so I've just plugged my the new LED lights in. The adapter harnesses, they came with the lights, work great, and the lights, as you can see, also work great. Both of them are on, so we'll just shut that off and we'll proceed with getting into the lights. What I'm doing is actually going to remove the entire front bumper just to make it easy to get at these. What some people will do is simply remove their lower valance, which mine's already gone off the Jeep. That's a common occurrence when you're out wheeling, is to have that thing get ripped off. Mine's long been gone. But like I said, what some people do, instead of removing the bumper, remove that lower valance, then they get in here and they remove this valance, so that way you can get the bulbs, not the bulbs, but the whole fog light assembly out. Without doing that, you can't get access to get that assembly out from in behind without doing one or the other. My lower valance is already gone. I've decided that it's probably going to be easier for me just to go ahead and pull this front bumper off. What I got for that is an 18mm deep socket and obviously the ratchet. My ratchet has an extension handle, which is going to be kind of handy for breaking those initial bolts to get them out of there. Bumper removal is pretty easy, and I won't bore you with all the details. Like I said, if you've got your valance under here still, you need to pull that off. And then there is 8 bolts in your bumper. 2 in behind here, a couple in behind here, and then same on the other side. 2 on either side of the crush can, basically. So I won't bore you with the details of pulling that off. I'm just going to go ahead, get in there, pull those bolts out, and get this bumper off of there. The wiring harness is attached for these fog lights. It is attached into the bumper in behind. So once I get the bumper loosened off, I can pull it away a little bit. We'll pull that harness off of there. I'll show you some of those details as we move along. So just show you guys, in under here, there's one of the bolts that's from the bumper. And like I said, 18mm, and those just ratchet off of there fairly easily. The driver's side here that we're looking at on the Jeep is the hardest one to get at just because of this. It makes it a little bit more awkward. Over to the passenger side, you can see them there a little bit better. This is where your fog lights already are, so you need to remove those the wires if you've still got the OEM ones, or any ones in there. Actually, you'll just need to unclip those and pull those away. So I said I was using an 18mm long socket, but as you can see up on the outer bolts, that's not going to really work. It's very hard to get in there, and as we unbolt that, we'll just wedge the socket in there. So we'll switch up to a shorty. Alright, all 8 bolts are out, and all we need to do now is grab the bumper with the 2 tow hooks here, and it should slide away. I'll have to put the camera down for this. It's not the OEM bumper isn't all that heavy, but if you can manipulate it with 2 hands, you're going to be in a lot better shape. Plus you need to get that wiring harness off the back there. Alright, front bumper is off. This is the wiring harness for your fogs, and it actually ties in to 4 points along the front of your bumper. This one here I ended up clipping the tie on it just because it was a pain. The other one's pulled out relatively easy. This one here is rather difficult to get at, but I was able to stick the wire cutters in there and snip that tie. So once I put this all back together, I'm just going to zip tie this into this rail here, and I think we should be still in pretty good shape. You mangle up the trees pretty badly pulling those out. Now that the front bumper's off, we've just laid it on a towel here, stood it upside down. You'll need a Phillips screwdriver, and you got 4 screws in each of these fog light assemblies. So we just go ahead and pull those out. Make sure you don't lose your screws, and there's your old fog light assembly, your OEM one. Collected a few bugs in the past few years that get wedged in there, and in on the housing here too. It's also to remember when you're doing your disassembly, take pictures or make some notes, video, whatever you need to do, just to help remember the orientation things are in. Here's the top of the bumper back here because of our tow hooks, and the adjustment screw faces towards the bottom. You can access it through the hole there. So just make sure you know which way things are going. The new lights, I haven't looked close enough to see if they're labeled, but we want to put them in the same way. So out with the old, clean out the bugs and other dirt and debris. I try and do that whenever I am pulling something apart on the Jeep. Give it a cleaning. I'll run to the back here and grab some wipes just to clean that all up. You never get stuff like that clean unless you do a disassembly. So while things are pulled apart, clean them up. Alright, grab the new lights. Pull our protective film off. Set them into place. You do have some keyholes that do line up just to make sure the light does sit in the right way. And again, this hole in the bottom of your bumper is to access that set screw there for further adjusting. So that light is in. Take our original screws. Alright, so I've gone ahead, put these light assemblies back in, 4 screws on each. You want to be careful you don't over tighten them. It is plastic, so you could easily crack or strip something here. One thing I mentioned at the start of the video is I seem to be, these cheaper lights seem to be relatively decent right out of the package, no major flaws, except there's a couple of little things that I'll point out here. So the one thing I find very common with these cheaper knockoff lights is they don't seem to be very well weather sealed. You can see the wiring going into the lights. It's hard to tell in there, but I can't see for sure or say for sure whether that's weather sealed or not. So normally I would take something called goop, which is a silicone sort of glue, and put that in there. I can't find my tube of it, so I'm just going to use some dielectric grease. That'll keep the moisture out, and hopefully prevent any problems. So just a little squirt of that in there, and we'll spread that around. We'll do that for each one. I would have preferred to use the glue, as it'll harden and also give me a nice mechanical connection in there as well. So in lieu of that, right now we're just using this to keep the moisture out. So there we go. And so the couple of problems is once we leave that, everything's good up to here, this first plug. This all seems to be nicely made. On the other side here though, similar issue. You can see right into the contacts in there, so I'm going to put a little bit of that dielectric grease in there as well once we finish hooking things together. Alright, wiring harness zip tied down into place there. And I've lost my snips, we'll just trim that up. What I've also gone ahead and done is just eyeballed where the alignment screws are on each of these lights. Just it'll make it easier for aiming those later on. So now we're ready to start putting things back together here. You got your spacer pieces that go in the back, but we make sure our wiring harnesses are out of the way. We'll clean out some of this debris here. We'll just dump it over and clean that out. Slide the bumper back into place. Clean up some of this stuff first. Of course, if you're in the market for a new bumper, this is a good time before you get into a fog light replacement. Get a bumper, pull that off. The old one is super easy to get out of there. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this back into place. I'll go ahead and put the bolts on and show you guys the final little touch-ups here. Okay. Bumper's all back together, and there's the new fog lights. We'll give those a run and test them out and see how well they perform. Tools that I used, so just some wire cutters to snip the existing cable ties, Phillips screwdriver, my socket with an articulating head and an 18mm long, an 18mm short, and this tool here came with the lights. That's to adjust the lights vertically. And some needle nose pliers again just to pry out the old cable ties. New cable ties will tie up the harness for the lights just in here on this rail, keep them tied up and out of the way. Otherwise, there's the new fog lights. We'll give them a try and see how they hold up. So there it is, everything's all back together on the Expedition Jeep. We've still got to aim those fog lights the best we can. We'll have to wait until it's a little darker to do that. But yeah, stay tuned. I'll keep you guys up to date on how they work out. Of course, if you guys have any questions on installing fog lights in your own Jeep, let me know. Give me a shout in the comments below. I'll post a link up to these on Amazon in case anybody is interested in checking them out as well. I don't know how well they'll hold up. This is sort of my first go. I usually run Rigid Industries lights. Well, I've got KCs as headlights here. So normally I run a high quality light. We're giving these ones a try. Like I said, from Amazon. They are DOT and SAE certified lights. So we'll see what they're like. See what kind of output we get at night for those. And like I said, we'll get them aimed properly as well and see how well they hold up. Like always, thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe to the channel and share the video.